Tonight, a coordinated threat.
Yeah, so he was on a school bus when we arrested him.
A youth is arrested after international police uncover alleged plans to attack schools in Manitoba and Nova Scotia. Also tonight,
to cut libraries is kind of especially cruel.
Why advocates are speaking out about federal cuts to library staff at Canadian prisons. Plus, still waiting.
What led to Mom's death is tragically simple and preventable. An error.
New details into the death of a Manitoba woman who died waiting for surgery and the calls for change her family says have gone unanswered.
CTV News. Live from downtown Winnipeg with Marilee Caruso.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. A potential plot to harm students at a Manitoba school has been foiled with the help of the FBI, and it seems the scope of that plan was bigger than just one school. RCMP say 2 suspects were planning on attacking schools in 2 provinces at the same time. Standing by live in studio with the details tonight is CTV's John Hendricks. John, how did RCMP uncover this plot?
It was all thanks to the FBI, who picked up the chatter online. Now, they told Interpol, the international police organization, who then informed the RCMP about the threat. A cross-Canada plot to simultaneously attack Rivers Collegiate in Manitoba and a school in Nova Scotia has been prevented.
It was specific to killing and murdering other students.
RCMP allege a 14-year-old boy in Rivers, Manitoba began talking about the plan online with a 15-year-old in Nova Scotia back in February.
He was on a school bus when we arrested him heading to the Rivers Collegiate. So we arrested him before he went to school on Monday.
Investigators say they first learned of the pair's intentions on Friday when they got a tip about the potential threat from Interpol by way of the FBI in the United States.
The FBI and Interpol monitor a lot of certain chat groups online. They have a lot of ability to grab keywords.
RCMP say they do not believe the threat was imminent. However,
after the arrest of the youth, there was 2 residences that were searched, and we did locate 2 firearms that are not in police custody.
Investigators say the firearms are owned by a relative. The home of the 15-year-old Nova Scotia suspect was also searched. Investigators there say they seized imitation weapons, a crudely made pipe bomb, clothing with hate symbols, and electronic devices.
Obviously, those will be analyzed, and that will bring a lot more detail.
Police in both provinces say they know these allegations are concerning to parents.
I mean, being a parent myself, if I heard about this, I would be very concerned. But it is important for parents to know that we are there. The school board is there. The schools are there to ensure the safety of the students.
The 14-year-old Manitoba suspect has been charged with uttering threats. RCMP say it's possible further charges could be laid. The investigation is continuing. He's being held in custody. None of the allegations have been tested in court.
Do we know how these youths connected in the first place, John, given the distance between them?
You know, that is a very good question, Marilee. RCMP say at this time they don't know how the 2 came to know each other, just that they were communicating online.
All right, thanks for this, John. An update now to a CTV News exclusive we first brought you last night. Tonight, Manitoba's health minister says the province's seniors advocate is looking into allegations of mistreatment at an assisted living facility in Pinawa.
I'm deeply disturbed and very concerned about the reports that have been brought forward. And I've ensured that whatever these families need in terms of support moving forward, that the Regional Health Authority takes the necessary steps to support them.
As we told you, a former caregiver at Ironwood Gardens brought forward an audio recording which appears to show a manager at the facility berating and threatening a vulnerable resident with dementia earlier this month. Executives with the facility have declined to comment. RCMP investigated the report earlier and forwarded it to the Protection for Persons in Care office. However, the province previously said the private facility is outside its jurisdiction. In addition to the seniors advocate investigation, the health minister says staff has also been instructed to reach out to the resident's family to offer a meeting. More than a year after a Manitoba woman died waiting for heart surgery, her family says not much has changed in our healthcare system. In August of 2024, doctors told Debbie Fuster she needed life-saving triple bypass surgery, and it needed to happen within 3 weeks. 2 months later, while still waiting for that surgery, the mother and grandmother died at her home in Niverville. An outcome her family says could have been avoided had she not had to wait so long. Standing by live with an update tonight is CTV's Joseph Bernacki. Joseph, since Fuster's death, what kind of medical reform has her family been pushing for?
Well, Marilee, the family called on the provincial government to adopt a law called Debbie's Law. The legislation would require healthcare providers to tell patients who are waiting for life-saving surgeries how long the wait would be and what the maximum recommended wait time is. Since sharing their recommendations, Debbie's daughter says new information surrounding her mom's death has been discovered.
We were recently presented with the results of an internal inquiry. At its core, what led to Mom's death is tragically simple and preventable: an error. A booking form was filled out incorrectly, and her file was placed in the wrong pile. Human error. But human error should not cost someone their life, not in a system that should be designed to provide a safety net. This is about accountability, and that accountability belongs with the government.
Fuster's daughter, Colleen Dick, also commented on the NDP's new health bill, Bill 27, which is the Declaration of Principles for Patient Health Care Act. She says there are good components, such as a patient safety charter and patient advocates, but she feels more needs to be done in terms of internal accountability. Meantime, Health Minister Uzoma Asagwara says they appreciate the family's positive comments on the bill, adding the government is trying to streamline communication pathways to patients.
So that legislation also spells out a new approach for patient advocacy officers. These are people who, in the case of maybe the Fuster family or another family, if they had questions about their care, they're not getting clarity around the process, this is somebody that they can reach out to, or they could have reached out to, who could have acted immediately to get them the answers that they need. That would be accountable to them in that process. And so, you know, we've done and we're doing the work on the cardiac side.
The health minister also says cardiac surgeries are always a top priority for Manitobans.
Joseph, what else is the government doing to prevent situations like Fuster's from happening?
Well, Marilee, Uzoma Asagwara says the province is working to re-establish the Cardiac Center of Excellence that it says the previous administration dismantled, and also indicated the coming budget will include a boost to cardiac care. All
right, thanks for this, Joseph. A downtown hotel is closing its doors to guests this summer to undergo a renovation. Work has been ongoing over the past 2 years to update the Fairmont Hotel, but the next phase of construction requires it to close on July 1st. The renovation will include a remodeling of all 340 guest rooms, the lounge, pool, and gym. The hotel lobby, bar, and Velvet Glove restaurant are also being reimagined. The Fairmont Hotel is expected to reopen in the spring of 2027. All right, let's bring in Colleen Brady now and get a first look at your Skywatch forecast. Finally, those cold temperatures broke, Colleen.
Finally, yes.
Bit missy out there, but I'll take it.
Listen, you know, and if you've been out all day already driving around either to work or running errands, maybe this is coming a little late, but top up your windshield fluid. You needed that today for sure. With these mild temperatures out at the airport, we came close to 1 degree. Out at the Forks, 1.4. Other folks with gauges out in their yards registering temperatures much warmer than that in parts of Winnipeg. And it was warm today in other parts of southern Manitoba. Melita, the warmest place in the province today, 7.1 degrees. And we'll see mild temperatures continue throughout the rest of the week, but we will also see some changing conditions too. I will show you when there's the next chance of snow for southern Manitoba. You didn't think we were done with that just yet, did you? Well, I'll show you when we could see that come through. But first, the CTV Live Eye is brought to you by Bathfitter, exclusive home of the PermaFit solution. In Winnipeg right now, it's cloudy and 0 with those light winds out of the north-northeast at 10 kilometers an hour. The wind chill feels like -4. The pressure's rising, and the humidity right now, Marilee, is 74%.
Thanks, Colleen. The Winnipeg School Division is explaining itself tonight after sending a link to student report cards in a mass email to families yesterday afternoon. The division is calling it a breach, saying families received a file which contained all kindergarten, elementary, and middle school report cards. In a statement, the WSD says it found out about the email at around 4:30 yesterday and quickly disabled the link. It's now recommending schools send out paper copies and say people should delete the email. A 3-day police operation targeting drug trafficking in the north has resulted in 5 arrests. RCMP and members of the Manitoba First Nations Police Service enforced 6 search warrants at the end of February at homes in the Paw and Opaskwayak Cree Nation. Officers seized cocaine, methamphetamine, ammunition, cash, and drug paraphernalia. Those arrested range in age from 19 to 34. 3 are from OCN, while the other 2 are from Puckatawagan First Nation and Winnipeg. Charges include possession for the purpose of trafficking, possession of a weapon while prohibited, and possession of the proceeds of crime. Police say this is an ongoing investigation and more arrests and charges are expected. Cuts to prison libraries could be coming as part of the federal government's budget reductions. The union representing library technicians says up to 18 of its members may be on the chopping block. And as CTV's Jeff Keel explains, advocates say this could cost society more in the long run.
For 10 years, Karen Monkman was a teacher at Stony Mountain Institution, where she says the library was a sanctuary.
I saw the toughest men turn into the most loving dad just opening that book.
Monkman says it was there some of the inmates could record themselves reading children's books, so the audio could be shared with their kids on the outside. The person helping the inmates navigate the program and others like it, the library technician.
The men, really gravitated to that and appreciated what she, the forum that she set for them.
But now prisons may be losing library staff as part of budget-cutting measures by the Carney government to rein in the federal deficit. Correctional Services Canada must find $132 million in savings by the 2028-29 fiscal year. 400-plus department jobs are set for elimination. The union representing library technicians says up to 18 of them could be impacted.
It's a big concern and really short-sighted.
The John Howard Society of Manitoba says those technicians also assist inmates with job searches and connections in the community to help them reintegrate into society.
And to cut libraries is kind of especially cruel in that it's one of the few places where incarcerated people can learn.
In a statement, Correctional Service Canada says plans are still being finalized. However, it says as part of their efforts to increase online resources, inmates now have better access to information. As a result of this, many sites across the country have already been operating with a modern library model and without a dedicated librarian on site. Libraries are fully open and accessible to offenders and will continue to be so in the years to follow. Still, the potential cuts aren't sitting well with Monkman.
I think it's very disgusting, that they would take away something on the interventions side.
Jeff Keel, CTV News, Winnipeg.
A big boost today for a First Nations-led affordable housing project.
I'm here in my official capacity to officially announce the $91 million investment through the Affordable Housing Fund of Canada.
That money will be used to build an apartment building on Noweo-Dena, located at the former Capion Barracks. The project, which is named Home is Here, will provide 260 new homes. 109 of those units will have affordable rents below the median market rate for the area.
Andayan Oma is a site, and for me, it's a very important thing that we acknowledge that the work, when we talk about Home is Here, we talk about that work that we've done in the past, then the trials and tribulations that we've had to overcome.
The project has a 60% Indigenous workforce and is expected to be completed in 2028. Wastewater flowing into the Red River is now slightly less toxic than it's been for the past 6 months. That's because the city says it's restored ultraviolet treatment at the North End wastewater treatment plant. The UV treatment is used to neutralize bacteria and viruses. It was temporarily shut off in the fall as crews continued to work on upgrades to the plant, and the city says it's now 75% more energy efficient. You're still being encouraged to wash your hands, though, if you come into contact with river water. Premier Wap Kinew finds himself in a familiar position as the Angus Reid Institute released its quarterly popularity poll. Kinew remains the most popular premier in the country, with his support rising 3 points to a 61% approval rating. He's just one of 3 premiers to enjoy majority support. The others being New Brunswick's Susan Holt and Saskatchewan's Scott Moe. At the other end of the spectrum, Quebec's Francois Legault comes in last with the approval of just a quarter of his province. Meantime, support for Tim Houston of Nova Scotia has plunged 11 points following a $1.2 billion projected deficit this fiscal year. 4,005 Canadian adults were polled online between March 11th and 17th for the survey, which has a margin of error here in Manitoba of plus or minus 5 percentage points. Still to come tonight, the Canadian economy stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Increasing interest rates to slow inflation could further weaken the economy.
The dilemma facing the Bank of Canada as the war in Iran drives up inflation and the country's economy cools down. All those details when we return. Taking a look at the markets tonight, crude oil closed flat. The loonie slipped below 73 cents U.S. Gold futures lost $112. The TSX plunged 616 points. The Dow Jones dropped 768 points, while the Nasdaq fell 327 points. Manitoba's population fell for the second straight quarter to round out 2025. That's according to a new report by Statistics Canada, which found nearly 2,000 fewer people are calling our province home compared to the third quarter. The losses in the second half of the year wiped out gains in the first half for a net loss of almost 6,000 people in 2025. That's due in large part to plunging rates of international migration, which for the first time in at least 50 years has dipped into negative territory. The trend is being seen across the country after Ottawa announced plans to dramatically reduce the number of temporary residents in Canada. The war in Iran is already having an impact on the global economy, and tonight, the Bank of Canada is definitively saying inflation is going up. CTV's Annie Bergeron-Oliver reports.
It didn't take long for the war in Iran to boost the price at the pumps and kickstart an energy-driven consumer squeeze the Bank of Canada says is fueling inflation.
The issue for us is not really the immediate increase in inflation. We know that's going to happen. It's does that start to get generalized, start to spread, start to look more persistent.
The bank says it will work to make sure that doesn't happen, but warns the longer the war goes on, the wider the impacts on the economy that right now is weaker than the bank projected. Growth is slower, the job market is soft, and exports are lower than expected.
Normally, I think people would be thinking, well, you know, Canada needs some interest rate relief here. But once Mr. Trump started firing guns off in the Middle East, we knew that wasn't going to happen.
For now, the bank says the economy is being tugged in different directions by rising inflation and slowing growth. So it's taking a wait-and-see approach and holding steady at 2.25%.
Economic weakness combined with rising inflation is a dilemma for central banks. Increasing interest rates to slow inflation could further weaken the economy.
Economists say that decision makes sense, but they also warn global uncertainty will likely hurt consumers.
There's a lot of anxiety that's building about the anticipated inflation, and retailers are already going to be hiking their prices as they expect their costs to increase as these higher energy prices work their way through the supply chain.
The bank says it will be keeping a close eye not only on the war in Iran, but on the impact tariffs and U.S. trade are having on the Canadian economy. And if necessary, Tiff Macklem says the bank will act. Annie Bergeron-Oliver, CTV News, Ottawa.
The federal government is taking its battle over the Emergencies Act to the Supreme Court. Ottawa is appealing a federal court ruling that found its use of the Emergencies Act was not justified. In January, the Federal Court of Appeal ruled it was unreasonable for the Liberal government to use the act 4 years ago to stop protests at the nation's capital and at key border points. That decision affirmed an earlier court ruling which found using the act infringed on the constitutional rights of Canadians. Now, a spokesperson for the Justice Minister says this appeal will help clarify when emergency powers can be used. The U.S. and Israel continued their military attacks on Iran today, and Iran retaliated. This conflict in the region is only deepening. CTV's Heather Wright is in Dubai with the latest.
Overnight, Iran retaliated for the killing of its security chief, firing cluster warheads at central Israel, payloads that are harder to intercept as they disperse midair. Israeli officials say the attack killed 2 people and caused damage in multiple areas. Dubai was also attacked overnight and this morning, with alarms going off throughout the city. Officials here say the drones and missiles were all successfully intercepted. Speaking to British lawmakers, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says more than 200 military experts from Ukraine have been sent to the UAE, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia, sharing their expertise in fighting a drone war, something Ukraine has pioneered during its 4-year fight with Russia.
We do not want this terror of the Iranian regime against its neighbors to succeed.
The United States and Israel continued their campaign against Iran today. U.S. Central Command says it dropped bunker-busting bombs on Iranian sites near the Strait of Hormuz, while oil sites linked to Iran were reportedly hit by Israel. Iran also confirmed its intelligence minister was killed. The regime has vowed to respond by attacking energy sites in the Gulf, warning people to stay away from facilities in Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Qatar. It's all leading to rising oil prices and uncertainty to how this conflict ends.
It's important to point out that once a war starts, you really can't control the direction it's going to go in.
Retired Major General Dennis Thompson says over the past 2.5 weeks, there has been a steady escalation of this conflict, which he believes has not reached its peak. He says the U.S. could still choose to hit Karg Island, where 90% of Iran's oil exports are shipped from, while Iran could go after desalination plants in the Gulf, cutting off a key source of fresh water.
I'm not convinced that there is a military solution to this, and they have to go the diplomatic route. If you keep killing the Iranian leadership, who are you going to negotiate with?
While Iran has allowed a few ships to pass through the Strait of Hormuz, the shipping route effectively remains closed. The UAE has said it is open to joining a U.S.-led effort to reopen the strait, but at this point, there is still no plan in place. Heather Wright, CTV News, Dubai.
Cuba has finally got some power back on after a countrywide blackout which lasted almost 30 hours. Cuba's power grid collapsed Monday, and it wasn't the first time. Power is slowly being restored to the capital, Havana, but much of the island is still in the dark. Cuba is the target of an American oil blockade which began in January. Meanwhile, 2 Canadian airlines have extended their suspension of flights to Cuba. WestJet says most flights to Cuba are canceled right through to October, while Air Transit now says it plans to resume flights in June. Refunds are available to passengers affected. A fireball flashed in the sky over the eastern U.S. and Canada yesterday.
Whoa, what the was that? It was just like a boom, like that.
It was a meteor that produced a streak of light and triggered a sonic boom. NASA says the fireball was first spotted above Lake Erie. It's believed the meteor was part of an asteroid that also sent meteorites all over Ohio.
It appears they didn't buy it, and now they're facing this huge bill.
If you travel outside of Canada, you need travel health insurance. And the same goes for people visiting Canada. Coming up, the enormous bill facing a U.S. woman who suffered a medical emergency in our country.
And finally, temperatures getting back to normal for this time of year after a very cold start to the week. And for the most part, throughout the long range, they'll stay quite mild, certainly more so than what we experienced earlier this week. 4 degrees on Friday, cloudy. There's the slight chance of showers. Snow looks likely, not certain, but likely on Saturday, -1. Mostly cloudy Sunday, -4 degrees. Back up above freezing, +2 Monday, mix of sun and cloud. Slipping back below on Tuesday, -5 degrees, a mix of sun and cloud with a chance of flurries.
Carrie Anerson's curling team welcomed a quick win after a short night at the Women's World Championships.
Nothing yet. Single or Karaman all on its own. Has to sit down. Sit down. It has to sit for them. And will scooch and go to the back.
Anderson stole 2 points in the 5th and 6th ends en route to a 9-3 win over Turkey after just 6 ends. The team rebounded from an extra end to defeat Switzerland last night, its first loss of the tournament. Einerson and company are now tied for first with Switzerland at 6 wins and 1 loss. The team will face 3 and 4 Scotland tonight.
CTV Skywatch weather brought to you by South Beach Casino and Resort. Visit southbeachcasino.ca.
Colleen Brady back now with your complete Skywatch forecast, and the thaw part of the thaw-free cycle we're in is definitely in place tonight.
That's right. We'll be slipping back below freezing. So yes, on again, off again. Thawing and freezing. I'm trying to say both words at the same time. But yeah, those potholes, they are popping up for sure around the city here in Winnipeg. Also popping up some mixed precipitation. It's just below freezing in Brandon right now, and you can see just sliding to the north of the city. There is some mixed precipitation showing up on the satellite radar. Cloudy here in Winnipeg. We did have a little bit of snow and a little bit of freezing rain as we thought we might. More so this morning over the city and just to the north of Winnipeg. You can see that's pretty much pushed off south of the border now. There wasn't much to it. Throughout the rest of the night, pretty quiet weather-wise. You might catch a few flurries in northwestern Ontario. You can see fairly clear in many areas, at least to start out the night. When we get into the overnight hours, we have this light snow intermittent that will come through places like the Paw, north to Flin Flon. There's a lesser chance, but you can't rule it out. In Swan River and even as far south as Dauphin, and you can see accompanying that light snow, there's the possibility of a little bit of freezing rain too. So do watch out for that, particularly as you get into tomorrow morning. But this narrow band of snow stretches right over to Barons River. It should miss Winnipeg, passing to the north of the city. But as we get into the afternoon, you can see that potential for freezing rain really increases with that band of snow that continues to pass through really diagonally from the northwest through central regions and into northwestern Ontario, where there is a decent possibility of rain showers late in the day for most communities on that side of the provincial border. Overnight, we go into early Friday there. We'll see a little bit of snow that passes through. Friday morning, cloudy here in the south, perhaps with a little bit of freezing rain that passes through. There's a slight chance, as I mentioned earlier, of some showers or maybe freezing rain. -9 tonight, mostly cloudy, winds out of the east at 15 kilometers an hour most of the night, although throughout the course of the evening and the overnight hours, the winds will be shifting direction, but they will maintain the same speed. And same thing for the commute tomorrow. Southeast winds 15 kilometers an hour, mostly cloudy. Should be sitting at around -7 degrees here in Winnipeg during commute time, up to +4 in the afternoon. Handful of degrees above normal, we'll take that. Mix of sun and cloud, winds will strengthen too out of the south at 30 kilometers an hour with wind gusts up to 50. For most of the night, Island Lake will be fairly clear, a few clouds there and into Gillam as well. But you see, by the time you get to Churchill, clear and down to -28 degrees, Thompson -21. The best chance of snow in the northeast tomorrow is around Island Lake, 2 to 4 centimeters possible there, -5. Thompson, more likely than not to see snow, but just not as likely as Island Lake, -5, your high tomorrow. Overnight again, that on again, off again, light snow moves into Flin Flon and the Paw, and then tomorrow it continues in those areas before spreading to Norway House and up into Lynn Lake. In the southwest tonight, partly cloudy for Swan River and Dauphin, -7, -8 degrees. Best chance of fog is further south around Brandon and Neepawa, those surrounding areas dropping to -6. Clearing tomorrow up to +7 in Brandon, -5 in Dauphin. Slight chance of flurries there in the morning. Winnipeg in the southeast, varying amounts of cloud tonight. Varying temperatures too, -9 here, -15 in Pinawa. We'll see a mix of sun and cloud and +4 in Winnipeg tomorrow. And in northwestern Ontario tonight, there's the possibility of a few flurries. And then tomorrow, again, you'll get some sun earlier in the day and then likely some rain in the afternoon with some pretty mild temperatures there too. Our first weather photo takes us up to Garden Hill. Beautiful shot there. That photo is from Olive. And this next one, there you go. This beauty was spotted here in Winnipeg. That photo was taken by Alan. Email is yours to winnipegweather@ctv.ca.
Thanks, Colleen. Travel insurance is always recommended, and that includes people visiting Canada. An American woman ended up with a bill for more than $100,000. Pat Foran reports.
Naveed Zafar's mother, Begum Bashiram, is in her 80s and lives in Atlanta, Georgia. In October, she was visiting with Zafar in Whitby and his sister in Waterloo. While in Waterloo, she had a stroke and ended up in the hospital.
I don't know if she's going to make it because she was unconscious.
Zafar rushed to the Waterloo Regional Health Network to see his mother and fill out documents for her care.
I didn't even bother looking at it because I was thinking if I can see my mom again or if she's going to make it.
Bashiran was in the hospital for 4 weeks in and out of intensive care. She has since recovered and is now back in Atlanta. While visiting Canada, she did not have travel health insurance, and the family has been handed a huge bill.
For $110,000.
The total bill came to just over $111,000. The hospital did offer a discount of 10% on certain charges. Zafar owed about $100,000, and so far he has paid $55,000, but he's still expected to come up with the rest.
Being as a responsible citizen, I definitely want to pay to hospital.
When we reached out to the Waterloo Regional Health Network, a spokesperson said, "We sincerely empathize with the financial strain unexpected medical emergencies can cause, especially when navigating the complexities of international health care."
All people visiting Canada that are not Canadian residents need to purchase Visitor to Canada insurance.
Martin Firestone with Travel Secure says many different companies offer Visitor to Canada insurance, and he says the same way Canadians need insurance traveling outside our borders, visitors must have it to make sure they're covered if they get sick or injured while here.
Sadly, it appears they didn't buy it, and now they're facing this huge bill.
Zafar says he is thankful the hospital looked after his mother and says he'll have to find a way to pay the rest of the bill.
I mean, I had to pay. I mean, there's no way out.
Pat Foran, CTV News.
The war in Iran is driving up oil prices, but Manitoba farmers are facing another threat as well, a spike in fertilizer costs. The latest on what this means for the industry when I chat with the president of Keystone Agriculture Producers after the break. Roughly 1/3 of the world's fertilizer supply moves through the Strait of Hormuz, and right now that market is under pressure thanks to the war in Iran. Joining me now to discuss the impact it's having on farming and the agriculture industry here in Manitoba is Jill Verwey, president of Keystone Agriculture Producers, who is also a farmer, has a farm near Portage la Prairie. Jill, good to speak with you.
Thanks for having me this afternoon.
Yeah, as I mentioned, about 1/3 of the world's fertilizer trade passes through the Strait of Hormuz. So I'm curious, how big of a concern is this for Manitoba farmers like yourself?
It's a huge concern, I think, to producers in Manitoba as well as right across North America. I think having that 1/3 of fertilizer coming through the area where it's being affected by disruptions with Iran, and particularly with that strait, it's really affected the volatility of the price of nitrogen-based fertilizers as well as diesel fuel. And heading into spring, heading into seeding season within the next month, supply and price are definitely both being affected.
Yeah, let's start with the price. If that route stays closed, how could prices be affected here?
Well, we're seeing right now with the volatility, a number of suppliers aren't even able to offer a price because they're uncertain as to whether or not they're going to be able to source or what their suppliers are giving them for nitrogen-based fertilizers. So definitely volatile, but I think on the other side, producers traditionally, in history, usually try to kind of spread their risk or cost of fertilizer. Usually spring is the highest price for fertilizers. So, a large number of producers might have either pre-applied fertilizer in the fall or purchased and fixed some of those costs back in late summer. And certainly closer to the winter months, farmers were looking at locking in some of those prices prior to today and heading into spring.
So this will really get, I guess, more anxiety-ridden when fall comes then?
Yeah, especially if this drags out over a large, more time. I think then you're going to see that you won't see that de-escalation in the price of fertilizer that you normally see during the summer months, and then you just see that price steadily will increase. So definitely having huge impacts later this year and leading into next year on even further declines in the margins that producers have on their commodities that they're selling.
You're kind of being hit on a couple of fronts too, because it's not just fertilizer that's impacted by the war in Iran. We're also seeing huge hikes in fuel. We know farmers are resilient, but how could these added costs impact operations this year?
Again, another cost that, producers do have the ability to store some fertilizer, but definitely we don't have, depending on what your storage capacity is, we don't have the ability to actually store all of the fuel that we're going to need for the full season. So that impact is going to be felt right through the growing season and have a negative impact on our margins for farming.
If this conflict drags on, how long do you think before we start seeing food prices affected? Any idea?
I think food prices, it's going to be affected as it snowballs through the supply chain. So as producers, we're not able to pass any of those additional costs on to, who we're selling our commodities to. But any transportation, processing that occurs on that product, all of those industries along the way, whether it's the processors, the individual that transports your commodity and food to the store, all of those industries along the way are going to be feeling those increased prices specifically on fuel. So it's going to be translated into what the food price is on the store for consumers.
Well, Jill, we want to thank you for your insight into this tonight. It was great speaking with you.
Thank you very much for having me.
A University of Manitoba professor says the federal government's plan to create a national men's and boys' health strategy is an important step to help address issues like masculinity, mental health, and relationship building.
Canadian men often die earlier, have low life expectancy, are more likely to get heart disease, suffer from cancers, suffer from obesity than anyone else in the country.
Indigenous Studies professor Niganan Sinclair says Canadian men are facing an ongoing crisis in society, and Ottawa's efforts are imperative to address the health disparities between men in Canada, particularly those who are Indigenous or immigrants. Men also experience higher rates of premature death, suicide, and substance use. Sinclair's comments come as the federal government is undertaking a nationwide survey to help inform its health strategy for men and boys. So-called forever chemicals may be harming adolescent bone health. That's according to a study published in the Journal of the Endocrine Society. These chemicals, known as PFAs, are found in everything from non-stick cookware to food packaging and don't break down in the environment. Researchers tracked more than 200 children from birth, measuring chemical levels over time and testing bone density at age 12. They found kids with higher levels of certain PFAs tended to have lower bone strength in their early teens. Researchers stress more studies are needed, but they say reducing exposure like filtering drinking water and avoiding non-stick cookware may help lower the risk. In Ontario, a 12-year-old girl is recovering after a liver transplant. It came from a living donor who was a complete stranger. Brent Lael reports.
I definitely feel really lucky.
Lily Wag walked out of Sick Kids Hospital in Toronto, finishing her stay after receiving a life-saving liver transplant.
It was a whirlwind 24 hours, that's for sure. From saying goodbye to her in the pre-op room to at about 10 a.m. to not getting a chance to see her until midnight in the ICU. It was two nervous parents.
But the surgery went well, and she's got a second chance at life. It's all thanks to 39-year-old Melissa Dearden, who saw the Wag family's cry for help on Facebook.
I'm reading this story, and I'm like, my heart just went out, and I thought, if this was one of my children.
The realtor from Hamilton was a complete stranger, but after realizing she fit all the required criteria, she made the choice to donate.
So I sacrificed 5 days in the hospital, and I sacrificed maybe a week of my life where I was uncomfortable. I wasn't really in pain. I was just, I couldn't do much. All to be able to see a little girl see her 16th birthday and graduate and go on to have a family. I think that, if more people understood and knew about this program, that, maybe we could see more people sign up.
It melts my heart knowing that there's somebody out there that would have risked their life to give our daughter a second chance. So we're forever grateful.
Both Lily and Melissa are on the mend, about halfway to full recovery. Lily is hoping to leave Ronald McDonald House next week and get back to her regular routine in St. Thomas.
Definitely getting back to school.
I miss my friends, so that's going to be probably my main one. And baseball, that's for sure.
And she's half the weight she was when she went into surgery. So it's big to see like how far she's come in those 4 weeks of getting a new liver and how sick she was to now really kind of like how healthy she is to like standing here today.
Brent Leal, CTV News.
Medical Watch is brought to you by Manukin Koster Denture Clinic.
If DNA is mutating, it would be enormously dangerous.
The world's most famous web slinger is getting ready to swing into theaters. And the numbers are in. How many fewer people tuned into this year's Academy Awards? Spotlight is next.
Spotlight sponsored by the Casinos of Winnipeg, presenting Brad Williams, the Tall Tales Tour.
A German-Italian comedian will bring the laughs when she makes a stop here in Winnipeg this fall.
I have an exciting announcement. You're pregnant. No, darn. You are doing a PhD. No, you finally decide to put makeup. It's a dough and it's sour. La mia password, papà. I know, you're pregnant. I'm going back out on tour.
Laura Ramoso is best known for her live sketches and viral impressions. Her characters, like German Mom and Italian Dad, have amassed over 3.5 million followers. They'll join Ramoso when she brings her Calm Down tour to the Burton Cummings Theatre on Saturday, November 7th. Tickets for the show go on sale Friday through Ticketmaster. Well, if your spidey sense is tingling, you might be onto something.
Hi, my name is Peter Parker. You don't remember me, but we used to know each other.
The trailer was just released for Spider-Man: Brand New Day. It takes place in a world that's forgotten Peter Parker's true identity. Aside from Tom Holland, who plays the titular web-slinging hero, there's a number of familiar faces returning to the series. Zendaya is back as MJ, Mark Ruffalo plays Bruce Banner, and John Bernthal as Punisher. It hits theaters July 31st. Speaking of Zendaya, she's featured in another new trailer that's just dropped.
If we have a girl, what will we name her?
The official teaser trailer for Dune Part 3 is out now. It's directed and co-written by Canadian filmmaker Denis Villeneuve. It's a stacked lineup as well, with Timothée Chalamet, Zendaya, Jason Momoa, Rebecca Ferguson, and Florence Pugh. It hits theaters December 18th. Ratings for this year's Oscars are the lowest since 2022. Variety reports about 18 million viewers tuned in on ABC or Hulu. That's down 9% from last year, despite praise for Conan O'Brien's hosting. Nielsen also reports declines in viewership for other recent award shows. Coming up tonight on your primetime lineup, The Masked Singer kicks things off at 7. Fear Factor, House of Fear is on at 8. Shark Tank comes next at 9. And catch the new season of Scrubs at 10. It's all right here tonight on CTV.
From cracking books to cracking smiles, why hundreds of students got the day off to watch a Manitoba Moose game earlier today.
Women's clothing provided by RW & Company. Salon services provided by Essentique Spa Salon.
Tonight, arrested by ICE.
They took her in saying that they need to fingerprint her, and she never came back out.
How a Canadian mother and her young child left a baby shower and ended up detained in the U.S. Later on CTV National News, and watch on Crave.
In Winnipeg right now, it's 0, mostly cloudy, light winds out of the north-northeast, giving us a wind chill that makes it feel more like -4. The actual highest temperature today was in the 2 o'clock hour. 1 degree will take it. But do you remember this? 14 years ago, it was almost 21 degrees on this day in 2012. Record setting. Tonight, down to -9, mostly cloudy. Mix of sun and cloud on Thursday by the afternoon. Winds pick up mid-morning out of the south. Slight chance of showers Friday. Up to 4 degrees. -1 with snow likely Saturday. -4 Sunday and cloudy. Back up above freezing Monday under a mix of sun and cloud. Chance of flurries on Tuesday.
Thanks, Colleen. Thousands of students set down their books today and put on their hockey jerseys for a different kind of learning. 6,000 Project 11 students converged on Canada Life Centre to watch the Manitoba Moose take on the Milwaukee Admirals. This is the second of 2 school day games this season designed to place a focus on mental health and relaxation techniques.
We'll learn about mental health is important.
It's really nice to have the conversation in the rink. You'll see student interviews on the Jumbotron. Some of our students sang the anthem today. Some of our students are leading the Zumba and movement breaks. So it's just a really great day highlighting an important conversation.
This marked the 7th Project 11 school day game. While the students we spoke with were hoping for a win, the Moose sadly were shut out by the Admirals. Doesn't look like the score dampened their spirits.
Not
looks
one
like
bit.
Fun was had by everyone. All right, that does it for us tonight. Hope you have a great night. See you back here tomorrow. Good night.